Sorry about the technical difficulties there. I know we're starting a little bit later than we had planned. Um, all kinds of weird things going on back here. But thanks for being here. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. I say we because we've got two cats in the room with us today. Hopefully they won't freak out and demand to be let out too soon. If they do, I'll step away for about a second and a half. Anyway, today we are doing the top 10 flavor faves from the Streets of New Capenna. And these are in no particular order. I did do a set review on Saturday, but unfortunately I didn't know how Twitch worked. And the default setting is not to save past videos. So that was kind of unfortunate. It was my first stream ever, and I was really pretty torn up about it right after when I went to look at my video and review how things had gone, and then it just wasn't there. And yeah, it was pretty disappointing. However, it inspired me to make this video, which is probably going to be more to some people's speed. It's definitely going to be more distilled. We did a whole Vorthos edition set review thing where I went through and said, hey, these are the cool parts of this card and that card. And we just went through and looked at the art, the name, the flavor text, even the mechanics, and looked at how well were they, how cohesive were they for each card. And so I have since gone through the cards and picked out, honestly, I probably could have done like a top 20 or 30 because some of the flavor in this set is on point. Yeah, the design team did a fantastic job. But, you know, that's longer than I would have liked, and I'm really trying to pick what I think are the best ones. So this is the top 10. They're not in any particular order because, like I said, even picking top 10 was difficult, much less ranking them. But I did do a rough ranking. So anyway, let's just get into it. I realize that that's a little tough to see. Let me try to zoom in on this a little bit. It tends to get blurry, but I'm gonna try to find the sweet spot here. How is that? That's better. I'm sorry I don't have like a fancy background or anything like that. We're still pretty low budget over here, but we're doing our best, and I think that's all you can ask for sometimes, right? All right, so let us begin. Our first flavor fave is the Capenna Express. You know, that looks better to me. All right, so the thing I like about this card, I mean, obviously, like, art-wise, the train's in the art, you know, we're doing great. Great first step. But on top of that, you'll notice there are 3 people prominently positioned here, more or less. I mean, 3 people that you can like distinctly see besides this guy, but just don't worry about him for now. So the crew 3 cost, I don't know if that was intentional or not on the design team's part, but it does make sense to me. And additionally, the fact that you can sacrifice a treasure to turn Capenna Express into an artifact creature is just a nice little bit of flavor because you just pay the train. If you can pay, you can take the train and it becomes an artifact creature, and I thought that was pretty great. So, that said, it is one of the lesser of the top 10 because, I mean, like, the 3 people in the picture is a bit of a reach, and I accept that. I admit that. But the sacking a treasure to make it run is like, that's a nice enough touch that it's still put in the top 10 category. So, let's continue. Antagonize. Okay, this one mostly is in here just for the flavor text, I have to be honest. The effect as well is pretty good. I mean, the art is very obvious. This guy made this guy mad, and now he's getting his pants kicked. It's not good. But I mean, you antagonize the creature, it gets pumped until the end of the turn, and then the flavor text, the little guy had guts at least. You can see him right there between those cobblestones. Glunk, freelance crusher. Because crushers are freelance here. That's another nice little tidbit. I mean, the guts between the cobblestones, and he had guts, doesn't anymore. That's just, it's just gold, and I appreciate it a lot, so that's why it's in here. We love it. Oh, and places between cobblestones pre-guts, just, you know, in case your imagination couldn't get there. Thanks, design. So, in a similar vein, next up is prize fight. Now, this one, there's a lot going on. So we've got these chains, which it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if they're chained into the ring. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised. There's a very real possibility. Or, actually, it looks more like the chains are just on there for added either pizzazz or pummeling, and I can't tell which. Regardless, the fact that the name is prize fight, and the card lets a creature fight another creature, and then you get a treasure token as a prize. I know it's pretty basic, but the gold chains in here are also kind of prize-like. They're kind of treasury, so, you know, and obviously there's a fight going on. And the flavor text is just fantastic, because look, this little guy here is punching the crap out of this giant rocks, right? And so he's underweight, almost certainly underpaid, because nobody's going to expect him to do well, and he's clearly been underestimated because this rocks has taken a nap. It's if not, he will be soon. I mean, that's a heck of a punch there, and he is clearly reeling. So, all in all, I just like it. I like the clever name and the mechanics, and that flavor text is fantastic. So, this was almost an auto-include, really, because there are certain cards that are simply named straight out of mobster vernacular, and Sleep with the Fishes is one of those. It's just, there are a number of those in here, and this is one of the most prominent ones, I think, because Sleep with the Fishes, people have generally heard that, right? But it's just the art. I mean, this person is literally sleeping with the fishes. There's fishes, and they're sleeping in a nice little air bubble, I'm pleased to report. So actually sleeping, not dead, you know, which is how that would normally, this phrase would normally be referring to a dead person in a river. Or a lake, I guess, we can't discriminate. Or the ocean. So many bodies of water. So many places, so many bodies in which to dump a body, you know? Anyway. And then what it does, it enchants a creature, and when it enters, you tap the enchanted creature, and you get a 1/1 blue fish creature token. The fact that it can't be blocked isn't necessary. I mean, I guess you could say, well, this person's not blocking the fish because they're asleep and whatever, but that's not really the thing. And then it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step because it's asleep. And you get a fish because they're with the fishes. And it's just, they just did well. They did well with it. There were many directions that this art could be taken, but I guess if you weren't going to outright kill the creature, I suppose you kind of had to go with this art. But nonetheless, I just think it's well done, and so it's in here. Now, Civic Gardener, he's just here for the fact that I can relate so strongly to him, and also the flavor text is just pure gold. It's so good. And he looks so chill, too. I mean, granted, he's got these, this weapon here that he's brandishing, typically used against plants, but he's not afraid to use it against people, especially when they mess with said plants. I've told you knuckleheads 100 times. You can kill him here, but bury the bodies somewhere else. If you disturb my prized azaleas again, you better dig a second hole for yourself. And I relate to that. Don't touch my plants. Not unless you're caring for them. On the other hand, the bodies he dumped there would be good fertilizer, so they must have torn up the azaleas, because as a gardener who didn't really care about bodies being there in the first place, via the murders and all, yeah, the plants are gonna do well. They're gonna do better when they've got some really good fertilizer in them. So I don't know, maybe he should rethink it, actually. Now that I'm like talking about this, maybe he should let them, maybe he should offer to bury the bodies there, because then he can pick where they go and he doesn't have to like disturb the plants to do it. I think that'd be reasonable, you know? Yeah, I think so. All right, moving right along. This is not gonna take 2 hours. I'm realizing that right now. It's gonna be like 40 minutes maybe. But hey, I guess if we finish early, we could just hang out and talk about other things. Maybe. I'll need some suggestions in the chat though, for sure, because I don't know what you guys want to hear about. All right. This is one of my favorite cards flavor-wise in the whole set, and it's for, I mean, it's mostly for the flavor text, but to be honest, even the mechanics are kind of there. So he's Crooked Custodian, right? He enters the battlefield tapped because he's busy hiding a body in a carpet. And he explains, "Nothing to see here, just carrying a carpet. Yes, the carpet wears boots. Stop asking questions." And I mean, there's like clearly a body in this carpet, and he's just like, "Don't worry about it. The carpet wears boots. Why wouldn't a carpet wear boots? Leave me alone." And it's just so funny to me. When I first read that, I cracked up so hard. And I just, wait, what is this tattoo? I don't know what that's supposed to be. I was hoping it was somehow connected. I don't think it is. I don't know. If anyone comes up with something, let me know. But yeah, it's the carpet wears boots. I love it so much. All right. Yeah, that's literally the reason it's in here. But like I said, the fact that it enters tapped is helpful because he's busy taking care of a body, so he can't attack right now. He's occupied just carrying out the boot-wearing carpet. Speaking of shoes, and speaking of busy, excuse me one moment, I need to let my cat out. Come here. Come here. Go ahead. Bye. By the way, sorry about all this. We moved here about 2.5 months ago. And life has happened, and this is like the storage, but like to be gone through room. It's just our spare room / office, and stuff just kind of ends up here. I tried to like make it prettier with the blanket, but I'm not sure if it worked. In any case, sorry about that. It won't always look like that. So we were talking about shoes. Let's get some shoes. These shoes suck. They are cement shoes. Nobody wants those. I cannot stand. I'm sure that there's a way to use this equipment in some beneficial manner. I don't know what it is. I'll be very curious to see if anyone comes up with something for it, but in the meantime, these shoes are terrible. They, however, do exactly what they say they're gonna do. If you were wearing cement shoes, yeah, your feet would be pretty tough, but you wouldn't be able to move very well, and that's exactly what happens here. The creature gets +3/+3, and has at the beginning of your end step, tap this creature. And that creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. You could equip them for 2. I mean, they're super cheap, right? You literally just got some pieces of cement, slapped them together with some metal rods and wires and whatever else, and put them on your feet. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But after the first attack, you're gonna have a bad time. And that's why these shoes are in here, because they're so bad, and the card reflects it so well. And, I mean, and the art, like, it's funny because typically cement shoes in the mob is where you literally just like tie cement blocks to someone's feet and drop them in the river so that they can sleep with the fishes. But in this case, we have a relatively functional pair of shoes, except that you have to move like 0.5 mile an hour in them. If at all. So yeah, they're a flavor win. I would never be caught dead wearing and or playing them. Probably, unless I discover a broken combo. Okay, Soul of Emancipation. So this It doesn't say that it's a story spotlight card, but I'm almost positive that this art was used in the story. When Giada, the teen angel, unleashed her power, so to speak, and became Halo. And that said, I don't remember the angel statues breaking apart, so maybe that's why it says it's not a story spotlight, but the image, I'm almost positive that image was used. I guess I should have checked before the stream, but I mean, it's not really a big deal, but I'm pretty sure. In any case. So, soul, referring to angelic type stuff, and emancipation, because when Soul of Emancipation enters the battlefield, destroy up to 3 other target non-land permanents. Now, flavor-wise, these should probably be artifacts, but that's okay. We're gonna let it go, because for each of these permanents, its controller creates a 3/3 White Angel creature token with flying. So your non-land permanents, I mean, I assume you're gonna make these into your own permanents. Or destroy your own permanents so you can get these angels, because don't give these to someone else. Which is why I'm thinking artifacts. You make some treasure tokens, bam, suddenly they're angels. I think that's a perfect use of your mana, if I do say so myself. And you can see that happening in the art. We have her sort of angelic self being unleashed here, and the statues around her are cracking, and they're angel statues, so you know there are angels busting out of there. And then it explains it. Light poured from every crack as the sleepers awoke from their long stone slumber. It's beautifully phrased, by the way. Yeah, I just think it's gorgeous, and the art is stunning. And the whole, like I said, if this said artifacts, we would have like 10 out of 10 flavor win here. And I mean, it's a minor gripe because you still get the basic idea. And I think the best way to use that is, well, I guess you could use any small token or whatever. You can use anything really, because a 3/3 flyer is usually an upgrade. But I think I'll probably try to use treasures just for the flavor, but that's just me. I think it's a great card. My cat now wants back in. One moment, please. Stella. You're staying in here now. Understood? Hi. Yeah, I know. I don't know if you heard her, but she acquiesced, so she'd better stay. Colby, our other cat, is just totally chill, laying on the perch by the window. He doesn't care at all. Hi. She's silly. Anyway, moving right along. Actually, let me get a sip of coffee first. By the way, totally off topic, but this is one of my favorite mugs of all time. I love it so much. A, it's the perfect size, and B, it's beautiful and it's space themed, so winning on all fronts. Speaking of 10 out of 10. Anyway. Oh gosh, I remember this. Okay, yeah. I know, I just put this list together. I'm like, oh right, this was great. Corpse Explosion. Okay, so it's everything you want. There's some guy. See, he vaguely looks zombie-like, but I don't think he's supposed to be. I think he's just a dude. He actually is probably Calvi, the funeral director, quite frankly. He's just booking it away from this explosion. Now, the way this works, as an additional cost to cast this spell, exile a creature card from your graveyard. So you have a dead creature, right? You exile it from the graveyard, so you no longer have its body. And then Corpse Explosion deals damage equal to the exiled card's power to each creature and each planeswalker. So this body that you exiled out of your graveyard explodes, and the bigger the body is, the more damage it's going to deal, because there's more there. And then he says, well, that's one way to scatter her ashes. and mwah, it's so good. I have no complaints about this card at all. It's possible that there could be, like, it looks like the art is like in the middle of the street, and I don't know if we were in a morgue, maybe, or a funeral home, like if there were a hearse involved, but like that is like the nitpickingest nitpicking that I could probably do, and I don't want to do that, so I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna appreciate this card for what it is, and yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, so these cards here, on their own, and you'll see these, I probably should have put them together in here, but when I do an actual slideshow instead of a photo gallery, I shall do that, but let's just move along with this. Sorry, cats are playing, so to speak. Alright, so this card, Expendable Lackey. It doesn't even matter what it does, at all. Well, actually, it kind of does, now that I think about it. It does. Alright, so you pay 1 and a blue and exile Expendable Lackey from your graveyard. So another dead body leaving the graveyard, right? You create a 1/1 blue fish creature token with this creature can't be blocked, activate only as a sorcery. Again, the not being blocked, not really an issue. It's the fact that you exile Expendable Lackey's body and you get a fish, okay? And then the flavor text brought this all together for us on this one and the next. Altonio? No, I'm sorry. No one by that name works here. Ruffine. Shady AF, right, kids? And he's a lackey, so he's just like working for people, but he's expendable. So, yeah, we don't talk about Altonio. Who? Altonio who? Hang on. Enough. Anyway, so this is Altonio. Poor Altonio. Because we then get to exotic pets. You'll notice there's a fish here, right? A few fish. You create 2 1/1 blue fish creature tokens with this creature can't be blocked. Then for each kind of counter among creatures you control, put a counter on that kind on either of the tokens. That doesn't matter. It's the fact that we have fish here. They are exotic pets. And in the flavor text we learn, investigators observed that Altonio's beloved fish were thriving after his disappearance. You guys, poor Altonio was fed to his own fish. He was eaten by his own fish. And we see it on the cards, and it is brutal and cold, and yeah, it's the fact that we have a cohesive story here that that puts these in here, because like frankly what they do is kind of, I mean, the fact that you get 2 fish tokens and there are 2 and a partial fish in here are great, you know, that's fine, but so not the point. Wait a minute, wait, is that his tie and glasses? He doesn't have glasses. No, I'm not missing it, right? He does not have, no, he doesn't have glasses. But that looks vaguely like this kind of stripy pattern. I don't know. See, he should have been wearing glasses. It would have been so much better. But no, he's not. That's a pity, because I'm pretty sure that's a pair of glasses. We'll just pretend that he wore glasses at home. That'll be fine. Yeah. Anyway, I'm willing to overlook that just because we have this nice little story bit here. I love when they put stories over multiple cards where, and some of them, they're completely unrelated. I mentioned this in the now Lost to the Ages set review, that in Ikoria there was a set of 3 cards. It was Forbidden Friendship, Capture Sphere, and Cathartic Reunion, and they each told a story about the same man-dino pair. And that was great. I mean, like, 2 of them were in red and 1 was in blue, and it was like the same thing happening all through. You could read the story and the flavor text. You could read the story of their friendship and trials and tribulations, and it was great. So when they do that, I really, really appreciate it, and they do sometimes. And this is one of those examples. Poor Antonio. R.I.P. He's sleeping with the fishes. And now, I believe that brings us into our honorable mentions. The cards that were pretty close or that I just really liked, but just weren't quite in the top 10 flavor faves. So, let's start off with Topiary Stomper. This one's great. Well, okay, look. First of all, it's a plant dinosaur. And, like, clearly it is a plant dinosaur, right? And he's stomping all over town. He's made of bushes. Topiary is, I believe, like, the art of carving bushes and such. And it looks like somebody carved a dino and then someone animated it, or it animated itself. Because when it enters the battlefield, you search up a basic land and put it on the battlefield tapped and shuffle. However, it can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands, which makes sense because it's made of so much land that you need a bunch in order for it to operate. And so, yeah, I mean, not like a flavor win by any stretch of the imagination, but it's pretty good. And let's be honest, it's so cool. Alright, second up, we have 3 honorable mentions, by the way, so this is number 2. We have the Citizen's Crowbar. I just, like, okay, so first of all, this is, like, one of the fanciest looking crowbars I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I don't think I would actually use that to hit things, which is possibly why, when you use it, you have to sacrifice it, because it would be wrecked, right? But when it enters, you get a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token and attach Citizen's Crowbar to it. So you get the citizen who's holding the crowbar in the art and in the title. And then the equipped creature gets +1/+1 because it has a weapon. And also, you can pay white and tap it to sacrifice Citizen's Crowbar to destroy target artifact or enchantment. So the citizen takes a minute to bang up the crowbar on an artifact or enchantment and destroy it. So then you lose the crowbar and you get to wreck something with it. And the citizen has to be occupied to do it. So I didn't think it was as good as some of these others that we saw, but this was a pretty good contender. This one was actually in here because it almost made the top 10. It was pretty close. It wasn't just because I like it, but like I said, that's like, if I were gonna have a crowbar, I'd want this crowbar. Alright, and lastly, we have Majestic Metamorphosis. This is a very similar one to Soul of Emancipation, which we looked at earlier, except that it's only until end of turn, and the flavor text isn't quite as cool, and, you know, it's still good, but it's less so. So that's why it's in here. It was close. It was really close. So you've got Majestic, referring to this angel here, on a metamorphosis, and it's kind of coming out of a cocoon almost. It seems as though it was kind of just always in there, so it didn't change so much, which is another reason that it wasn't in the top 10. But then until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes a 4/4 angel artifact creature and gains flying. So it's only till end of turn, so it's not a permanent development in the artifact or creature. You get to draw a card. That doesn't... I mean, I guess you're learning that this statue held an angel, so there's that. The art is really interesting because you have this statue here and then there's just an angel coming out of it. Also, it's not an angel statue, interestingly enough. But one of the other reasons that it almost made there was because New Capenna's statues hold Old Capenna's secrets, which implies so much that, as far as I know, we never got to know. Now, I haven't read all of the stories yet, the short ones. I read the full, complete, the main story, and a story and a half of the short stories, or side stories. I'm missing, I guess that's, what, 3.5 of them, unfortunately. I just, you know, as I said, life happens, and it's been happening a lot, and so here we are. But I want to know, like, what's with the statues? Because that's like a whole thing. And then there was another card that talked about the demons having imprisoned the angels and the statues, whereas I thought, according to the story, that the demons distilled the angels into Halo, and that's what Halo is. So if that didn't happen, or if it only happened to some of them, or whatever, like, I just want to know. So, yeah, that's it. As I said, like 35, 40 minutes, and actually we started a little bit late, so it was really like half an hour. But you know what? I don't know, is anyone even here? I don't see any suggestions about what to discuss, so I think we'll just wrap up, because this was all I had for today. Now tomorrow, Wednesday, April 20th, 2022, you know what? That's enough. Excuse me. Enough. This is Colby Jack. He's very cute, but very annoying sometimes. Anyway, tomorrow I will be doing another stream starting at 1 p.m., I believe. Check my Twitch schedule. I'm pretty sure it's from 1 to, I think I said it was 1 to 6:30, but my evening freed up. So might go later if we need to, but I'm going to be reviewing all of the new cards from the new Commander precons for Streets of New Capenna. I'm not going to look at, like, lands, obviously. The staples like Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, whatever. Like, we're not worried about that. We know they're cool. If they have, like, fancy art that's just, like, mind-blowing, then sure, we'll do that. Otherwise, not going to worry about it. So we're going to be looking at the new cards, because reviewing 500 would be insane. And maybe we'll talk about how they might synergize with other possible decks, if I can, you know, figure that out. Yeah, so I think that about wraps it up, I guess. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I don't know that I even introduced myself. I was so flustered by the fact that technical difficulties were happening. So my name is Shadowkat, or Cat, yeah, I look forward to seeing you on the flip side, and have a great night.